We have a major report. According to an NBA insider, he gives us a major update on the Knicks and their future trade plans. And in the process, he gives us an update about Deandre Ayton and his future in Portland. And according to this insider, the Blazers could make Deandre Ayton and Robert Williams III available at the deadline. And if that happens, he lists the Knicks as a team that will be interested in trading for one of those centers and getting them on our roster. We're going to break down these latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Major update on Deandre Ayton's future with Portland. We knew for the past few days that reports were heating up about Deandre Ayton going to the New York Knicks. And now we possibly understand why. The Blazers have a lot of players that play center on their team, especially the young rookie that they just drafted, Donovan Clingan. Since that's the case, they have a limited amount of time to give to players who play that position. And they have Robert Williams, who's a great fit for that team, but his injury history leaves a lot to be desired. And then you have Ayton, who clearly is a good piece for that team, but he's making a lot of money. And if the Blazers are looking to reset their roster and maybe add more pieces to what they're going to do in the future, then the one thing that they can do at the deadline is move off of one of their centers or maybe a few of their centers to make room for the future. And according to SNY's Ian Begley, that's exactly what Portland could be looking to do. Let's break down these latest reports about the Knicks and their potential trade plans come the trade deadline. NBA insider with SNY, Ian Begley, recently was on the Zach Lowe podcast and spoke about New York's trade plans to address the center situation. Deandre Ayton and Robert Williams III are targets New York could be interested in if they become available at the deadline. According to Begley, the center market, obviously, Jonas Valanciunas' name is going to be out there because of who he plays for. But I think Washington, if it has its druthers, would hold on to Valanciunas. I know that defies logic, but I do think that would be the case. I do want to mention here, though, Zach Lowe did note right after Begley said that the Wizards would be open to moving Jonas Valanciunas for the right trade package. And if you've been following this show, you already know the Knicks, in terms of contending teams, have the best trade package that could be on the table. They could match Jonas Valanciunas' contract in terms of the money, and they could give Washington their first-round pick back. And that pick means more to Washington than any other team. So I wanted to just mention that. The Knicks definitely still have a chance at Jonas Valanciunas. The only question is, will they go after him? According to Begley, they're not going to go after him as their first choice. According to him, they have some other options on the table that they would prefer to look at. Begley continues here by stating, I would look at Portland, who is playing there, who's getting the minutes between the rookie Donovan Clingan, Robert Williams, and Deandre Ayton, who's not getting minutes, who becomes expendable. So at least according to Begley here, with regard to the Portland Trail Blazers and their center position, we have to be looking at who they play, who's getting significant minutes, and who's getting played out of the rotation. And if we take a look at that, we're going to know who's going to be available come the trade deadline. Keep an eye on that situation in Portland. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of other situations that develop before we hit the trade deadline. The Knicks are going to be keeping an eye on all of that, especially as they try to weather the storm without Mitchell Robinson. Shout out to Ian Begley, a great NBA insider with SNY, for giving us the following updates about the Knicks and their trade plans. Now, I understand the interest in Deandre Ayton. I can even understand the interest in Robert Williams III. But going to Ayton, there is one main reason why I do not want the Knicks to target this man or go after him, and it's his contract. Deandre Ayton signed a 4-year, $132 million contract with the Phoenix Suns at the time, which, by the way, is fully guaranteed. and includes an average annual salary of $33 million. In 2024-2025, Ayton will earn a base salary of $34 million. I understand Knicks fans' fascination with Ayton, especially given his skill set. We've never really had anybody like Ayton playing center for us, maybe in the last 20 or so years. It's been a long time, so I respect his skill set. But I gotta say, $132 million guaranteed. $34 million he's going to be making this upcoming season. And if you trade for him in order to match the money and even make everything work, you're going to have to gut your team. The Knicks didn't create this roster, this championship roster, just to gut it to get somebody like Deandre Ayton. And not to mention, his basketball attitude is a problem. Maybe in a few years, it's going to get better. But I do not want the Knicks to have to trade for him and wait those few years while they have him for him to grow up and understand what it means to be a basketball player and what it means to sacrifice in order to win a championship. It is interesting to note, though, that Deandre Ayton's name has been coming up from multiple NBA insiders as a name to watch at the trade deadline. It does seem like his time in Portland could be up. His future in Portland seems bleak, and it does look like he could be traded to another team. The only problem is whoever trades for him is going to have to absorb that contract. And not many teams are going to want to do that, especially for a center like Deandre Ayton. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the money, but in terms of his style of play, his attitude, and the way he approaches the game right now, I think some teams would consider that money an overpay for a player like Ayton. Maybe he can prove those narratives wrong, but as of right now, it is clear. His time with the Blazers is up. He is likely going to be traded at the deadline, and if he's available, he's a name to watch for New York. Although I don't think it's realistic, because for the Knicks to even make that trade happen, they would have to gut their team. They would have to include core pieces that they made sure they had on this roster. So no, even though Ayton could be made available, I don't think the Knicks are going to go after him. But what about Robert Williams III, the other center on Portland? He is a great name for New York. I would love him on this team. When healthy, he is a beast, a monster, a force. And under Tom Thibodeau, he could thrive. The only issue is his injury history. If you look at it, I think he has a worse injury history than Mitchell Robinson. And if we had both of them on this team, my anxiety level would go through the roof, because from game to game, I wouldn't know who we would have available at the center position to play that for us, because I wouldn't know if Robert Williams would be injured that night. Would he be playing significant minutes? Would he be playing back-to-backs? These are all questions I would have to ask myself. These questions wouldn't exist if I got a center that was young, healthy, available, and could play most games. As good as Robert Williams III could be, as good as his game is, the fact that he's not available to show it is the same exact issue that Mitchell Robinson has. So the Knicks are not going to create another problem or double down on the same issue. They're likely going to look elsewhere. Unless his price is dirt cheap or at the floor, I don't think the Knicks entertain a trade for Robert Williams III. If you look around and you look at the players that they've been associated with, besides veterans, there have been two young centers that have been constantly linked to the Knicks. And we're talking about Jalen Duren out of Detroit and Walker Kessler in Utah. And the reason for that, both of those guys are young. They have a lot of upside. They have very, very affordable contracts. And the Knicks wouldn't have to gut their team in order to get them on this roster. That's the main reason New York are looking at those potential players, because they understand the roster they have right now is championship level. Where we're not the greatest is our center depth. But if we're able to make a trade and address that situation, we are right back to where we were if Mitchell Robinson was healthy and available for this team. Championship contenders, legit contenders in the Eastern Conference, and a team that could potentially go all the way to the NBA Finals and win it all. Break the drought and bring that title home to New York City. But a lot of people have been asking, why are the Knicks linked to all of these centers? Here's the main reason I believe that's the case. The Knicks understand They likely want one or two centers out of all of the centers that they are linked to. But the only way to get them at this point in time, given their limited assets, is to make it seem like they're going after a lot of these other centers. If they make other teams believe that they can trade for another center, it puts pressure on the teams that they really want to negotiate with to get that center on their roster. And I think that's exactly what they're doing right here. Leon Rose and this Knicks front office, they are always making moves without us even noticing it. And they're always thinking 3 steps ahead. We may not even see the move that Leon is targeting right now, but I'm going to support his decision on getting these reports out there and making sure everybody knows that if you don't deal with us at a fair price, we can go to another team and trade for their center. That's what we're trying to put out there right now. I think Leon Rose is doing a good job of it, and I can't wait to see who ends up being the Knicks center come the trade deadline, because best believe a change is coming. Whether that be the starting center position or the backup center position, we are getting more talent on this team. The only question is, what player will actually make their way to the Knicks roster come the deadline? Who do you think the Knicks should target? Do you guys think that Deandre Ayton or Robert Williams III are good trade targets for the Knicks to go after at the deadline? Or are there other candidates that you would like the Knicks to target? Let me know in the comments section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.